Good Thursday morning. We're going to continue with St. Mark. Okay, we're going to jump back to St. Mark's now. There's a great one-liner in this thing. Okay, it's something about the theme I've been sort of hammering around in and out. He said, it's the saying. He says, Jesus said to his disciples, "Is a lamp brought in to be placed under a bushel basket or under a bed, and not to be placed on a lampstand? There was nothing hidden except to be made visible. Nothing is secret except to come to light. Anyone has ears to hear ought to hear." This is the great line. Here's the great one-liner. It comes up. He also said to them, "Take care what you hear. The measure with which you measure will be measured out to you, and still more will be given to you. To one who has, more will be given, but on the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away." It's a powerful line. You know, boy, that is so true of life. That is so true of life. It's a measure by what, how's he say? The measure with which you measure will be measured out to you, and still more will be given to you. If you measure in charity, you will be filled beyond imagination. But if you are only interested in yourself, you will die alone. If life has taught me anything, it has taught me that you get what you pay for. I use my language, not our Lord's. And I've seen it pastorally. I've seen it personally, but I've seen it pastorally. Where the measure with which you measure, it's really basically, to use Aristotle, the virtues by which you live. Because the virtues are both reinforced and enforce your vision. What you see, what you value, and what you pursue. If you pursue self-interest, then you'll form habits of self-interest. And you will measure everything by your self-interest. You will do that. You'll always ask the fundamental question, whether you cognitively ask it or intuitively ask it, and it's this: what's in it for me? What's in it for me? And if that is what, in fact, becomes the measuring rod, then you will pursue that. But in the end, you'll also be pursued accordingly. The final judgment is you'll get what you paid for. And boy, if that isn't pastorally true, nothing is. I mean, on that lesson, yeah, for yourself, you'll die by yourself. You'll get exactly what you paid for. But the measure by which you measure shall be measured to you. If you have a generous heart, you will never be alone. Love is contagious. If you are good, that's Aristotle. Aristotle saw this long before the gospel was written. He saw that the life of virtue creates a virtuous community, and that reinforces the individual's life. You live virtuously, you will create around you and be sustained by a virtuous community. But if you're in a violent community, or you're selfish in your life, you will be in a community that is hostile. I think of this with regard to I think when I teach ethics, because it makes a very big difference whether you're an ethic of self-interest or an ethic of friendship. Aristotle's was an ethic of friendship. If you live like a friend and you are a friend to all, you will be a friend and be befriended, you see. If you don't, you won't. Thomas Hobbes in the 16th century said that the natural state of human existence is a state of war, everyone against everyone else, in which you trust nobody. You enter into contracts only out of self-interest. So the society is a contractual society of self-interested parties. And in that world, and in that way, you observe it because it's to your self-interest, but if you can beat the system, beat the system. In Aristotle's world, it's just the opposite. You are friend to friend because you are a friend. You have the heart of friendship. You can be trusted because you're trusting. You can be loved, and you can open yourself to love and the adventure of love and the dangers of love because you are willing to be vulnerable to love itself. There's no vulnerability in a Hobbesian world. It is all self-interest and self-protection. See, armed to the teeth. Yeah. When I teach ethics, I show my students, the contrast between the Hobbesian world and the Aristotelian world. The Christian world, go one step further, it's self-sacrifice, okay, is the Godfather series. Because there is a series in which you are in the Hobbesian world, Everyone is cautiously in relationship to everyone else by contract, by an agreement, a violent agreement, but an agreement. But it's as weak as a slip of the tongue. You're basically in a hostile world. If you saw the movie The Godfather, one slip of the tongue by Sonny, and everything comes apart. You remember that? You got to know that scene. It's right in the opening scene. A second scene, not the opening. Right after the wedding, they meet with Solarzo, the Turk. One slip of the tongue by Sonny, and all of a sudden, Humpty Dumpty's off the wall, and it's a complete descent into hell. Mm-hmm. That's what Hobbes said. That does not happen in a world of friendship. World of friendship, mistakes can be made. Well, why? Because we're not hostile to it. We're not distrustful. We allow each other to be human because we're not threatened by each other. Why? Because the measure by which we measure is friendship. We are friends in our heart and soul to each other. Yeah. See? You get to pick in life whether you want to be a Hobbesian or an Aristotelian, and add to that a Christian. But even without Christianity, Aristotle offers us friendship as the antidote to loneliness and hostile. He came out of a hostile world. He knew a Hobbesian world, as it were. It was a dangerous place to be. It was the centuries in which he lived, the century in which he lived in Greece, 4th century. He knew what it was, but he saw the antidote to that world, friendship, the virtues of friendship and loyalty. See, bondedness through love. See? Not contracts, not agreements, contractual agreements based upon fear and mutual hostility corralled by contract. No. For Aristotle, it's the intimacy of friendship itself that is the final bonding of the community. And Christianity radicalizes that with the self-sacrifice of Christ on the cross. The ultimate form of charity is to give one's life to another and for another. So you get to choose in life. Do you want to be a Hobbesian or Aristotelian Christian? You're going to choose one way or another. And it's usually when you're growing up, you start to make the choices. You're going out for yourself. Is your primary focus your own self-interest, your own self-aggrandizement? Then you're going to enter in a Hobbesian world. You're going to be contractual in all your relationships. When Michael Corleone says to Kay, when he comes back after you got to know the movie, when he returns after having killed the Solarzo and McCluskey, the cop, okay, he says to Kay after 2 years later, he catches up to Kay up in Vermont or New Hampshire, and he says to her, I need you. He didn't say he loved her, he said, I need you. That's a contract. If she had sought my counsel, I'd say, go run the other way. He's going to use you. He doesn't love you. He's not capable of love anymore. He's a Hobbesian. He's only capable of a contract, you see. I'm starting to write an article about The Godfather for a series. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but it's called, the way I say it is, from Aristotle, Hobbes with a touch of Aristotle, just a touch. There is moments of intimacy there, but not much. And they evaporate under the hostile world of the Hobbesian world of hate, fear, primarily fear. See? By the measure with which you measure. If you measure the world by fear and self-interest, you will die alone, just the way Michael does in the end of Godfather 3. Not even a dog. Even his dog walks away from him. See? He's that alone. He chose it. He chose the Hobbesian world. Where in the world of friendship, when you die, you are surrounded by those whose hearts are broken in your death, who love you and grieve for you, because part of them dies with you because they have loved you and been loved by you. To me, when I go to a funeral and I see no tears, I said, oh my God, this is sad. There should be tears. There should be tears. Mm-hmm. Tears are the sign of love, that part of me has died with you. In your death, something in me also is dead. My heart has partly died. My heart has died in part with you. Karl Rahner, the theologian, said, when somebody you love dies, part of you dies with them. He had it exactly right. There is an emptiness that'll never be filled. That's not Hobbes. That's Aristotle and Christ. That comes from love. That's the measure by which you are measured. That's the truth. If you love, you will be fulfilled. If you're not, you will die alone. Even your dog won't care.